I was recording video about Saryn the other day, and I randomly found out something very interesting. And after testing it out, I decided to make a completely separate video about it because it turned out to be way better than I anticipated. But I highly advise you to watch that video first before you go into this one. It should pop up in your top right corner. But for the quickest recap, it was about Saryn making any weapon viable, and you can use any ability on your helmet. So I was thinking about like raising the stakes for electricity damage weight with volts shock. This is the build I'm gonna be using to show you the weapon, but it's far from like correct build. I just had no slots. I didn't plan on using any older augment, so my Saryn in every possible loadout was made with 3 umbrals and just venom those. But since shock needs the shock trooper augment to buff the electricity damage, I had to put it instead umbral vitality. So it's perfect opportunity to show you that it doesn't matter what's your helmet on Saryn, and you can just use shock to increase the electricity stat weight for your status chance proc for melee influence. And I also swapped my Archon shards to the proper ones, which are the toxin damage increase, and I mean toxin status damage increase. But to make that build perfect, I would swap Brief Respite with Ready Steel and Preparation with Coaction Drift Exilus, because we will be using heavy attack for the melee influence. And honestly, you don't need that much ability strength, so Transient Fortitude is easily swapped out with Primed Continuity, for example. And you could swap out Narrow Minded for any like ability range mod. But that's if you like using spores, but that would be like a perfect way to use that build. Because if your targets are fully armor stripped, the toxin status becomes like bleed status. It deals the true damage since there is no armor anymore. But in Saryn's case, the toxin status is pretty crazy compared to any bleed you can get. Especially that you can get those Archon shards for the damage of toxin status. But you can still fully armor strip without spores because you still have your venom dose on weapon, so it applies just the same moment as toxin applies. But to finish off that build, I advise to use the best primer in the game in form of a hound, which I also made a video for. It should pop up in the top right now. Just in the Saryn's case, you should be using viral damage on the weapon of the hound instead of the corrosive, because the corrosive gonna be buffed by Saryn, and viral is gonna be the only element we lacking on the weapon. And this is the build we're gonna use on the weapon. So the most important part is to make gas damage, because the heavy attack sends out hit damage shockwaves. And then we get Amalgam Organ Shatter for faster wind up on the heavy attack swing, Shocking Touch, Focus Energy, Voltaic Strike, all of this mainly to increase the status, and the electricity weight for the status proc. And it's also where the shock augment shines. And now the most important info about the heavy attack. The heavy attack is split into 2 parts, and that will be horizontal and vertical shockwave. First one, the horizontal one, is 0.5 heavy attack damage, and the vertical one is 1.5. They travel up to 70 meters, piercing all of the enemies hit on the way, losing no follow-through damage. And every hit instance has a chance to procure melee influence. So if there was an enemy at the end of the 70 meter travel, you would proc another 20 meters of melee influence. So altogether 90 meter of range. Pretty crazy, don't you think? And in the ideal world you would have a Riven for all of that. And it wouldn't be like my Riven, which is completely useless for this build, sadly. And now the best thing about the shockwaves, you can spam them through the walls. And the worst part about them, that they are clunky as fuck on some tile sets. Namely the infested tile sets. I encountered the most problems with those shockwaves on infested tile sets and some corpus ship tile sets. This is how first tests looked like. And now look carefully what happens the moment melee influence procs up. Entire squad's just insta-dead. I gave it a few more shots, but I'm gonna be abusing the range now, just spamming the heavy in one spot. And I already know they're gonna die. Here we go. And who can tell me that melees are not OP, or that they are not fun? Melee influence just gave 320 meter range to melees, and now you have a melee with 70 meter shockwave. So we have 90 meter together. It's kind of funny to call that shit melee. So sad I didn't put my hound up. I still have my worm for the primary secondary setup, but if I had a hound the damage would be way higher because of the viral. That hound basically enables you to get easy range armor strip without even using the spores in first place. Even though the hound himself cannot put 14, your melee influence will do the job with the last 4 stacks. That's also a very good way to show how broken it is with the fact you don't really have viral on your weapon. Those static targets get kinda destroyed. Let's see what I can do with this in steel pot. I hope there is conjunction survival. Omnia Fisher so I can crack a relic or 2 maybe. Okay, let's see what do we have in here. Please give me the conjunction in that 5 seconds. Let's fucking go. Just gonna crack a random Radiant Relic real quick. But to be fair, I thought it's gonna be like from 200 level enemies, but it's fine. Let me skip you the wait time till I have some action going. Okay, it should be fine here. Let's just buff up and do some stuff. I think I'm just gonna start with abusing the fact I can use the wall as a, well, wall. Finally, the melee influence decides to come to the party. Just remember that I have one mod of the Carnage set on the secondary. And I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have it on the Warframe as well, but well, I have my Umbral mods there. Damn, I wish I didn't forget my Hound for this run, but... Not gonna lie, having some initial combo or some efficiency, like Focus Radon for example, to get 80 with the Focus Energy and Rauta would be like an insane idea. But this is pretty fresh build, pretty raw, so you can just imagine what's gonna happen once you perfect the build for it. To be fair, viral or not, everything flops instantly anyway. I just hope I get the relic increase for ability strength. This hitting into the wall looks silly as fuck, but it's damn safe. But it's also damn boring. Oh, I see the void. I need the damage increase. Of course it's secondary damage. Of course it couldn't be ability strength buff. You know guys, the problem with the damage is like, at least for me, it's never enough. You know, like my Kullervo damage caps, this kills everything, but it's still never enough. It's just crazy how it works. I'm just addicted to damage. Lots of damage, all of it. It's so insane how this status damage works. It's so much higher than I thought when I saw mini influence first. I'm just literally one-shotting steel pattern enemies through walls with a random scrap of a build. It proves the fact that my video about Saryn making a new weapon broken is just 100% on spot. If you wonder how it's gonna deal with the Acolyte, I can tell you it's gonna deal with it fast. I wonder if I'm gonna die to this bullshit bubble he left on me. Well, I'm just gonna press mold a few times. I hope I get my ability strength buff this time. Yes, finally. Nearly 700 flat damage buff for corrosive and electricity and over 200 toxin. And I immediately slumped into the nullifier bubble and I have no energy. Lovely. I've been waiting for this the entire fucking run and I fucked myself over. Okay, that's enough. I need to work to perfect the build. Let's see how many melee kills I did. Over 1k. I'd say decent. Well, I hope you liked this. And I recommend you to try this because I'm having quite a blast with that. So if you did like it, please like, comment, share and subscribe. And as always, see you on the next one.